ever wondered where Newcastle gets its name from, this is it, Newcastle's castle. It was a centre of law and order where armies gathered and criminals were imprisoned, and where the story of Newcastle truly begins. Situated in Newcastle upon Tyne, literally a stone's throw away from St. Nicholas Cathedral, Newcastle Castle is the reason behind the city's name, and it's currently open to the public for a small entrance fee. This historic landmark is an authentic and original English castle, and it's a great way to learn about Newcastle's medieval past.
So this is the Newcastle that gives the city its name. The building that we're standing on is the oldest remaining part of it. The original castle was actually a timber structure built by William the Conqueror's son in 1080, so about 14 years after the Normans conquered England. And it's replaced after about 100 years by this very impressive stone tower that we're standing on top of, which is finished by 1178 and is the kind of heart really of the old castle of Newcastle.
The castle, an imposing Norman fortress, given its geographical location, had a critical function in the turbulent history of northern England. At over 1,000 years old, how did it become the Newcastle?
So obviously the castle is built on top of a Roman fort that was here originally, but Newcastle got its name from the Newcastle that was built here. And so everything that you see around here in the background sprung from this centralmost point.
This castle, the keep particularly, is built right on the top of one of the Roman forts that was along Hadrian's Wall, which is the northern frontier of the Roman Empire. When the Romans left, there was a church built within the grounds of the Roman fort, which had a cemetery. And then when the Normans came to build their castle, it's tempting to think that maybe the remains of the Roman fort are what they interpreted as being the old castle, and that therefore theirs was the new castle that rose up in its shadow, or in its ruins, really.
Before Newcastle was such a booming city, it was an ancient medieval town with a small population of around 6,000 people, a far cry from its 310,000 currently.
The medieval town, we think, had a population of somewhere around 5,000 or 6,000, which isn't very big in modern terms, but for a medieval trading town is pretty substantial. And by the 1300s, certainly, it was the fourth wealthiest town in England. So it was a major port, a real kind of centre of international trade. We know by the 1200s there were Italians, what they called Flemings, so people from Holland living here. So there were communities of people from around Europe. It was quite a kind of eclectic place, quite a busy place.
Walking through the narrow passages, the Great Hall and the dungeon of Newcastle's castle, I couldn't help but imagine what life was really like when this fortress was in use.
So this was partly a military fortification, but they also kind of work as sort of local government. This was the sheriff's castle. So the king appointed sheriffs to rule over the individual parts of England, enforce the law, collect taxes and things like that. So this kind of served as a local government office, I guess, for the area in medieval times. And this was the heart of it, the keep. The tower is the kind of most prestigious part of the castle. It's where the most important officers of the castle would have lived. And when the king visited Newcastle, this, I suppose, served as a kind of royal palace, really.
After receiving a large Heritage Fund grant in 2015, management developed the castle into a more tourist-friendly facility, improving the experience for locals and foreigners alike, something that's evident throughout the castle's inner spaces.
Yeah, I mean, it's an iconic part of Newcastle, even if you look at things like the bins around Newcastle, the council's logo is the castle keep, the tower, and it really is the landmark that gives its name to the city. So it's a vital part of the city's heritage in that sense. And as well as that, it's a pretty lively part of the city's cultural life, even today as well.
Although the castle's transformation has become a wonderful experience for visitors, it's a challenge to maintain and preserve the building that's almost 1,000 years old using modern techniques, especially when it's been classified as a National Heritage Building.
The building itself, due to the age of it, is what you can and can't do with it. It's a scheduled monument. We literally can't even drill a hole in the wall. So if we need to put anything new in, it's it's basically get permission to do that, and it's how we can actually do it. It isn't the easiest thing to work with. It's not like you've got your own kitchen, you're going to put a shelf up. We can't attach anything permanent to any of the walls, so there's got that sort of thing to deal with. But yeah, you know, it's a great, unique building. You know, it did give the city its name, to be fair.
Yeah, we're constantly striving and developing what we're doing. We're only sort of 3.5, 4 years into delivering our strategic plan. We are at the moment growing our learning offer.
You know, we have to keep this going. We have to, you know, I've just become a grandfather. I can't wait to get my granddaughter up here and show her what the history of Newcastle is all about. You know, I'm not a historian, but I'm learning things since I've been here, and I wasn't aware of half the stuff what went on in Newcastle, and we have to pass that on.
The lovely, welcoming and friendly staff explain why a visit to the castle would be an unforgettable one.
I think that Newcastle itself and the North East, very, very friendly place to be. People are very friendly. There's a lot to see and do. Newcastle Castle itself is just one of many, many things that you can do in Newcastle, with the cathedral, St James's Park, the free museums like Discovery Museum.
Come to the city. For me, I guess I'm biased. I did move away, I've come back. To me, this is the best city. Not just the UK, for the world. You know, I've been all over the world myself with previous jobs, but Newcastle itself is just a fantastic city. Get yourself here, come and visit Newcastle. You know, I can't speak highly. You picked the wrong one, because I can sit about Newcastle all day. There's nothing bad about Newcastle.